For decades, the financial playbook had one simple rule. Buying a home was the ultimate goal. It was the American dream, the clearest path to building wealth, and the only smart choice for anyone serious about their future. Renting, on the other hand, was seen as throwing money away. It was a temporary stop, something you did while saving up for a real home. But let me tell you, that entire playbook has been thrown out the window. The game has changed completely, and clinging to that old advice in today's market is a one-way ticket to financial trouble. The simple black and white decision of our parents' generation is now a complex, high-stakes puzzle with no single right answer. The idea that renting is a total waste of money is one of the biggest financial myths still floating around. People imagine their rent checks vanishing into a black hole, while a mortgage payment magically transforms into solid gold. The reality is far more nuanced. A significant chunk of your mortgage payment, especially in the early years, goes straight to interest, which is, you guessed it, money you never see again. It's the cost of borrowing a massive amount of money. Before 2020, the housing market was on a relatively predictable path. Prices were climbing steadily, and mortgage rates were low. It was a stable environment. Then, the pandemic hit, and it was like throwing a lit match into a room full of gasoline. Suddenly everything changed. Millions of people transitioned to remote work, which meant they were no longer tied to expensive cities. They could live anywhere, and they wanted more space. This sparked a mass exodus from urban centers to suburban and rural areas, creating a frenzy of demand in places that had never seen it before. This wasn't a gradual shift. It was a seismic event that permanently altered the landscape of American real estate. This sudden, massive demand ran headfirst into a wall of historically low housing supply. Supply chains were a mess, making it difficult and expensive to build new homes. Many potential sellers, worried about the economy and health risks, decided to stay put, further shrinking the number of available properties. Let's cut through the noise and look at the actual numbers, because in 2025 the math tells a very compelling story. According to the latest data, in the vast majority of major U.S. markets it is significantly cheaper to rent than it is to buy a comparable home. This isn't a small difference, we're talking about a massive gap. The typical monthly mortgage payment for a median-priced home is now often 40 to 50% higher than the median rent. For instance, if the median rent in a city is $2,000, the all-in cost of owning a similar home, including the mortgage principal, interest, property taxes, and insurance, could easily be $3,000 or more. A major driver of this disparity is, of course, mortgage rates. As of mid-2025, rates are hovering in the high 6% to low 7% range. Let's break down what that means. If you buy a $400,000 home with a 20% down payment, your loan amount is $320,000. At a 7% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, your principal and interest payment alone is about $2,130 per month. Now, add in an estimated $400 for property taxes and $150 for homeowners insurance, and you're looking at a monthly housing cost of $2,680. And that's before we even talk about maintenance, repairs, or any potential HOA fees. For that same amount, you could likely rent a very nice place without any of the associated risks or responsibilities of ownership. Despite the daunting numbers, the argument for buying a home today is still powerful, but it leans more on long-term benefits and stability than on immediate financial wins. The primary benefit, and the one that stands the test of time, is building equity. Every mortgage payment you make has two parts: interest and principal. The principal portion directly reduces your loan balance, increasing your ownership stake in the property. This is a form of forced savings. Another huge advantage is stability and control. When you own your home, you are in charge. You don't have a landlord who can decide to sell the property, raise your rent by an astronomical amount, or tell you that you can't have a pet. Owning a home gives you the freedom to customize it to your exact tastes. You can knock down a wall, renovate the kitchen, plant a garden, or paint the walls any color you want without needing anyone's permission. This ability to create a space that is truly your own is a huge psychological benefit that renting can never offer. So, in today's high-cost market, renting isn't just a fallback option. It's actually a powerful strategic move for financial optimization and flexibility. The most obvious and immediate benefit? Yeah, it's the lower monthly cost. As we've seen, the gap between the average rent and the average mortgage payment is honestly massive right now. And this isn't just a small savings, it can add up to hundreds or even over $1,000 every single month, That extra cash flow, it's kind of a superpower. Instead of pouring all that money into interest, taxes, and insurance for an expensive asset, you can systematically invest it in the stock market, high-yield savings accounts, or even your own business. This way, your money could potentially grow way faster than home equity, especially in a flat or declining market. Now, the second major advantage of renting is the incredible flexibility it gives you. Life's unpredictable, right? You might get a dream job offer in another state, decide you want to travel the world for a year, or just realize the city you're in isn't the right fit. Renting also gives you immunity from those hidden costs and risks of homeownership. When you own a home, you're basically the bank for every single thing that goes wrong. If the roof starts leaking, that's a $15,000 problem that's all on you. But as a renter, your responsibility ends with a phone call or an email to your landlord. This provides not just financial protection but also a ton of peace of mind. To truly grasp how much the landscape has shifted, we need to do a direct before and after comparison. Let's create a scenario in early 2020, before the world turned upside down. Imagine a buyer looking at a median-priced home, which was around $329,000 back then. Mortgage rates were at a historic low, let's say 3.5%. With a 20% down payment, this buyer would have a loan of about $263,200. Their monthly principal and interest payment would have been approximately $1,182. Add in taxes and insurance, and their total payment might be around $1,600 per month. At the same time, the median national rent was roughly $1,450. Now let's fast forward to today, mid-2025. That same median-priced home is no longer $329,000. It's now valued at around $430,000, a staggering increase. But the price is only half the story. The mortgage rate is no longer 3.5%, it's now closer to 7%. So, a new buyer looking at this median-priced home today with a 20% down payment would need a loan of $344,000. At a 7% interest rate, their monthly principal and interest payment skyrockets to about $2,288. Once you add in higher property taxes and increased insurance costs, the total monthly payment is easily over $2,800. This is a massive jump from the $1,600 payment just 4 years prior. Now let's look at the rental side of the equation. Back in early 2020, our median rent was $1,450. Today, rents have certainly increased significantly. The national median rent now sits around $1,980. The renter's monthly payment went up by about $530. The homeowner's potential monthly payment for the same type of home went up by a staggering $1,200 or more. The gap between renting and owning has exploded from being nearly identical to a difference of over $800 per month in this example. When people talk about the financial power of homeownership, the word you'll hear over and over again is equity. But what does it actually mean? Put simply, home equity is the portion of your home that you truly own. It's the difference between the current market value of your property and the amount you still owe on your mortgage. For example, if your home is worth $500,000 and you have a remaining mortgage balance of $300,000, you have $200,000 in home equity. You build equity in two primary ways. The first way is through your own actions, paying down your mortgage. Every month, a portion of your mortgage payment goes towards the principal balance of the loan. In the beginning, this portion is small, as most of the payment goes to interest. But over time, the scale tips and more of your payment goes towards principal, accelerating your equity growth. This is like a forced savings plan. You're automatically putting money aside and building your net worth with every payment you make, which is a powerful discipline that renting doesn't offer in the same way. The second, and often more powerful way you build equity is through market appreciation. This is when the value of your home increases over time due to factors like inflation, demand in your area, and improvements to the property. If you buy a home for $400,000 and a few years later it's worth $450,000, you've just gained $50,000 in equity without lifting a finger. This leverage is a key concept. You might have only put down $80,000, 20%, on that $400,000 home, but you get to benefit from the appreciation on the entire value of the asset, not just the cash you put in. So why does equity matter so much? Because it's a flexible and powerful financial tool. Once you've built up enough equity, you can borrow against it using a home equity line of credit or a home equity loan. People use this money to fund major expenses like a college education, a home renovation, or to consolidate high-interest debt. Ultimately, when you sell your home, the equity is your profit, the cash you walk away with after the mortgage is paid off. This is often the nest egg that funds retirement or the down payment for the next home. So, after all this analysis, how do you actually decide what's right for you? The answer lies in honestly assessing your own life across three key areas: your finances, your timeline, and your lifestyle. Forget what your parents did, forget what your friends are doing on Instagram, and focus on your reality. If you are financially stretched, have a low credit score, or have very little saved for a down payment and an emergency fund, the decision is simple: you should rent. Buying a home under financial duress is the fastest way to turn the dream into a nightmare. Renting allows you to live comfortably while you strengthen your financial foundation. The second critical factor is your timeline. How long do you plan to stay in one place? Most experts agree that you need to stay in a home for at least 5 to 7 years to make buying financially worthwhile. If there is any significant chance you might need to move for a job, for family, or just because you want a change of scenery within the next few years, buying is an extremely risky proposition. Renting provides the priceless option to reassess your life every 12 months without financial penalty. Finally, consider your desired lifestyle and personality. Are you someone who loves weekend projects, enjoys yard work, and wants to have complete control over your living space? Do you crave the stability and sense of community that comes from putting down deep roots? If so, the responsibilities and costs of homeownership might be a perfect fit for you. On the other hand, if you value your free time, hate the idea of unexpected repairs, and prioritize experiences and travel over managing a property, then the low-maintenance, lock-and-leave lifestyle of renting is likely a much better match for your personality. There's no right or wrong answer, only what's right for you. Ultimately, the best advice for the undecided is to run your own numbers and be patient. Use an online rent versus buy calculator to input your local home prices, rents, and your own financial data. If buying looks too expensive right now, don't feel pressured. Use this time to your advantage. Continue renting, save aggressively, and invest the difference you would have spent on a mortgage. The market will eventually shift. Rates may come down, or prices may soften. By staying flexible and building your wealth, you will be in a position of power to make the right move when the time is right for you, not when the market dictates it. Like, subscribe, and share this video with someone navigating the housing market.